Et les petits loups, j'espère que vous allez bien, ça va très bien, donc on continue la suite de notre aventure sur Vampyr. Bon, j'ai fait ma deuxième victime.
To arrange to have you buried in the same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help.
I cannot enter.
Bah, je veux bien enquêter, mais gros, je passe comment en fait?
I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation. I managed to arrange to have you buried in the same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help.
Ma foi, je sais pas. T'es qui toi? Putain, t'es le jeune là? Je sais pas. Je sais pas qui c'est, je reconnais pas sa tête. Ah oui, on avait déjà parlé celui-là.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reid? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Encore des indices sur elle. Elle vous a fait payer.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
C'est quand même une pute quoi.
I share your concerns.
La meuf elle les a fait payer pour avoir un lilas
Be
quoi.
sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reid. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
T'inquiète, je vais guérir ton fils. Un coup de... je vais le mordre, t'inquiète pas.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening. I'm Dr. Reid. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. and no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reid. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all.
I'll let you...
I'm alright. Waste your time with me.
Ok. Bon bah victime 0 lui. Elle est où l'autre connasse là? Toi là, espèce de pu... On doit se parler, pardon.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doc.
T'as fait un truc pas bien là. Merde, il est où mon truc?
Good.
Bah je peux toujours pas quoi. C'est super. Bon, si on montait un peu dans le bureau quoi. Parce que ça serait cool, non?
This must be the place. It's definitely away from prying eyes.
Et en plus une safe
Relegated to the
zone.
shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin.
Mais c'est parfait gros. Analyser.
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
Ok. Tiens, j'ai plein de trucs gros. Merci, on va mettre celui-là qui est à côté. Encore un 300 et ça irait. À chaque fois, je me trompe. Événement majeur dans le quartier. Putain, mais j'ai le truc qui est un peu chiant là, qui est bugué là. Chaque nuit, les conséquences de vos actes peuvent améliorer ou dégrader la situation sanitaire du quartier. Ah, celles-ci peuvent aussi aider. Ah, ok, d'accord. Situation sanitaire grave. Ben ouais, pas à cause de 2 morts. Ah ouais, je suis sous le... Ah, c'est pas moi. Pardon, 3 morts, excusez-moi. J'en ai oublié.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals.
Eh, c'est pas de ma
My
faute. Hein.
thirst for blood. Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
Nurse, this room is off limits, and I'd prefer to keep it that way. Make sure the rest of the staff are so informed.
Of course, Doctor. And what about the antiseptics? Or do I inform the staff that you're too busy?
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way then. Thank you, nurse.
Merci. Maintenant, qu'est-ce-toi? Parce que j'ai encore des gens à tuer, moi. Ça va pas le faire. J'ai toujours un problème avec les quêtes gros secondaires parce que je sais pas comment faire en fait. Vous avez enlevé mes victimes? Il n'y a plus de victimes? Il n'y a plus de nouveaux cas? Ah, j'ai rien fait moi, ok?
Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If
Mais
they
qu'est-ce
were
qu'il
to
fout là,
find
ce
something-
Skull? Merde! Je peux faire un truc là? J'ai fait, j'ai fait un mauvais choix. Ah d'accord. En effet, c'est mieux le pieu. Ça m'a servi à quoi de monter là en fait? À rien. Oups. Mais qu'est-ce qu'il foutait là le mec? Il m'a foutu une trouille ce connard. Ouais, il me graille.
So, Mr. Hooks and Nurse Hawkins are an item. Those two have hidden their affections well.
Intéressant. Tu m'as caché des choses, toi.
Good
Petit
evening,
coquin.
Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
I have some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet with all the money and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that bothers you?
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reid.
Tell me why you're extorting money from some of the patients here.
If a patient wants a bed, he'll have to pay me a little fee. That's all.
Where did you get the idea for such an immoral scam?
Funny you should ask. The first time it was from a patient who bribed me to get a bed. It's only then I realized I could make a fortune.
Admit it. Nurse Hawkins is more than your lover. She's also your partner in crime.
Of course she is. How else could I tell which bed is free? I need to know that.
Have you no shame?
Don't you see the city is crumbling down? Today people are ready to pay to get a hospital bed. Tomorrow we may be fighting for food.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up.
Chacun de faire ma première quête secondaire.
I am.
You do realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate relationships with one another.
Come on, Dr. Reid. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
During the war, I witnessed a few couples just like you come together in difficult circumstances. It can be very damaging.
Maybe you're right. But we support each other. And that's all that matters.
Ok, il me manque juste un indice. Quoi.
Goodbye, Milton.
Enquête terminée, merci. Et j'avais une autre enquête. Ça c'est fait, c'est ça là.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening.
Toi t'as pas un autre truc à me dire toi?
Milton cheats patients out of their money at this hospital, Pippa. Are you his accomplice?
Yes, I am.
Is this your definition of being useful? By abusing the sick and poor?
No. It is my definition of getting out of this useless life once and for all.
Why do you do it?
Why not? Most of the sick who paid for a bed are already dead, or will be soon. Don't you see the futility of all this?
In your position, I would suggest a more elaborate defense. Cynicism will not save you.
This isn't cynicism, it's realism. You still need me, Dr. Reid, and you know it.
I'm really sorry, sir. I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Whose idea was it?
What difference does it make? We did it together, and I'm guilty as charged.
Answer my question.
It was my idea first, even though Milton would say it was his, to protect me.
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes, Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins. But are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he
J'ai la crainte de foutre un de ces bordels.
I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke. But we do our best to get by. That's all any of us can hope for nowadays.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
J'ai crainte de foutre le bordel. Qu'est-ce qu'elles font en haut? Non mais c'est dehors. Pourquoi ça m'a dit que c'était en haut en fait? Il y a des trucs que je comprends pas trop des fois avec le curseur.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reid.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague, sir. Especially when he was supposedly dead.
A colleague. Are you a doctor too?
Not anymore, sir. I used to be Dr. Rakesh Chadana. Now, I'm just Mr. Chadana, pawnbroker and humble guardian of this morgue.
What do you mean, you used to be a doctor? Was your license revoked?
No, sir. It is just that I like to be precise. I run a little pawn shop while taking care of the dead. But I used to be a real doctor.
A pawnbroker? I expect you get all types of people here.
Yes, sir. All kind of people. For I sell all kind of goods.
What kind of goods?
With the quarantine, it's not always easy to buy things. So I trade. I exchange. Some people sell, some others buy. I like to help.
Who comes here to trade with you? It's very unhygienic, even unsafe. Diseases can spread. For the customers, for the hospital.
I'm very cautious, sir. I've been a doctor, remember? And all my clients are good people. In fact, I think I only know good people.
Do you work here alone?
Yes, very easy work, sir. All I have to do is watch a few bodies. The situation was very different when the main morgue was still open.
Why do you have to watch these bodies?
Because these poor fellows have no names. We keep them in case someone comes looking for the missing. Sadly, very rarely happens.
Why close the hospital's main morgue?
It was for sanitary reasons after the beginning of the epidemic. Cadavers had to be moved to the nearest mass grave.
Goodbye, Mr. Chidana.
Ok, non, j'ai cru en fait c'était lui qu'il fallait que je parle, mais pas du tout. Il y a des trucs gros, je pige pas en fait. Je veux bien, mais ça me dit en fait c'est en haut, mais c'est ça que je comprends pas.
Good
Je vais lui
evening.
reparler en entier, voir ce que j'ai loupé. Hein. Si j'ai pas...
Are you afraid or uneasy being surrounded by so many corpses?
Why should I? These bodies are empty vessels. Flesh left to decay. Poof. No soul anymore. All gone.
An interesting point of view. And quite an exotic one, too. Most people fear, or at least have a respect, for dead flesh.
Sir, as a medic during the war, I learned to face my death and the death of others. It's the pain we have to tame, not death itself.
How did you get this job?
After I left the army, I worked as an undertaker down by the docks. A dangerous place with many an unpleasant business there. Milton Hooks helped me get a job here.
Have we met before?
I don't think so, sir. Why?
When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since I was reported dead.
Funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago. You were missing, and she was looking for your body. She must be very relieved now.
Since you're not afraid of dying, do you believe in life after death, Rakesh?
No. I believe we must do all the good we can while alive. For our time is short, and the obstacles are endless.
Do you think you would enjoy immortality as a concept?
I don't think so. Don't mistake me. I love life, and I'd like to live a long life. But everything has to decay, sir. Even goodwill.
So you're ready to die?
No, I am not. I don't fear death, for I won't see it. What troubles me is the pain my death will inflict to those I know.
You're a wise man, Mr. Chidana.
No, Dr. Reid. I am a foolish man. But I like to think otherwise.
Do you really believe goodwill cannot last?
As I said, sir, everything decays. If I was to never die, goodness, I would be bored or worse. And I like to be helpful, sir.
Quite depressing, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but the good news is we'll all die before losing our humanity, sir.
Ok, bah bon, j'ai... Non.
Goodbye.
Rien à voir ici. Hein. Forêt avec ta torche. J'ai plus dans le jus, j'ai plus dans le jus. Ok, bon, on a appris qu'il est espionneur alors. Ok, cool. Ben, la deuxième quête secondaire, ben, finito. Comme on va lui parler là. C'est cool. Enfin, à peu près. Fini. Pas encore, mais. J'ai vu le niveau, 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 j'ai vu le niveau. Casse-toi. J'ai vu le niveau. Tire. Mais frère, vous êtes des malades!
Get them weapons ready! We found one!
Ouais, je mets gros, je suis tombé d'en haut là. Ouais, gros, mais ils sont trop haut level, je me casse moi. Super, première mort. Mais nous les petits loups, on va se quitter là sur cet épisode. Et prochain épisode, on se retrouve directement pour la quête principale. Parce que là, j'ai pas du tout le niveau. Pour continuer cette quête secondaire. Donc on se retrouve à très bientôt les petits loups. Allez, merci à tous d'avoir regardé cet épisode. N'hésitez pas à commenter, partager, liker et vous abonner si c'est pas fait.